morning. It is Tuesday, August the 16th. I'm Lyndsay Morrison, and you are just in time for your national forecast. We're going to begin with a look at the active weather happening in some parts of the country. But first, a little fun fact for you. It was on this day in 1750 that about 300 German settlers arrived in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. And then, on this day in 1996, Lunenburg was designated a World Heritage Site. There you have it, your fun fact for the day. We're going to start by taking you to another place, 30. There was even a peak of sunshine around the noon hour, but then eventually the clouds rolled in. Now we are dealing with not only some cloud cover, but also some intense bands of rain. And you can see on the radar here, some soaking rains really making their way into not only parts of Quebec, but also into parts of the Maritimes. So let's take a little bit of a closer look here. Some heavy bands of rain making their way over New Brunswick, PEI, and Nova Scotia, and just inching now towards Newfoundland. So you could be waking up to some wet weather. And now this system is going to play out like this. Here's the center of the low. That's why we're going to get some pretty significant rainfall in through Nova Scotia, but conditions are also going to be clearing throughout the day. So if you take a look here, we can see 20 to 30 millimeters of rain is forecast for parts of Nova Scotia. This includes the city of Halifax as well as Charlottetown. Moncton, you're just going to be on the border. You could see 10 to 20 millimeters of rain, and then sections of Newfoundland will get a pretty decent drenching as well. Speaking of rain, this same low pressure system, at least the outer band, saw a thunderstorm yesterday. In fact, not everyone saw wet or active weather, but those who did had some drenching rains to deal with. Currently, we're dealing with temperatures in the upper teens for the most part. This is seasonal for this time of year. Still, if you are just heading out the door in southern Ontario, you might want to consider a sweater or maybe a light jacket. This afternoon, though, you can get rid of it because we're looking at temperatures right around where they should be for this time of year. In fact, maybe just slightly warmer in through southern sections of Ontario. Daytime high of 28 is forecast in the city of Toronto, feeling more like 31. And after yesterday's heat and humidity, it's going to be another hot one today in and around Thunder Bay and Fort Frances. But in that area, we're also anticipating the potential for some active weather, similar to what we've been experiencing in the prairies. Take a look at this radar data. This low pressure system is going to continue to track east across Manitoba today and into northwestern Ontario. Brought some pretty significant storm cells throughout the late night last night and into the overnight hours. The severe thunderstorm watch is still in place, and here's where we're expecting the most active weather today in through southeastern sections of Manitoba and into northwestern Ontario. Temperatures will be just a little cooler today across the prairies. Here's your long-range forecast. So for Wednesday, conditions will be clearing out of the Maritimes. That's the good news for you. High pressure rolling in, sunshine making a bit of a comeback, but it is still going to be windy in Newfoundland. Keep that in mind. You can see this cold front making its way through Ontario. As a result, we could see some thunderstorms in some areas and still getting some heavy amounts of rain in through central Manitoba. Seasonal conditions across the prairies and Vancouver. You have a pretty great long-range forecast. Expect sunshine with some clouds and some relatively fair temperatures right through the week. A little cooler, though, on Thursday across the prairie provinces, and we're looking at the potential for some unsettled weather in through southern Ontario and southern sections of Quebec. Still breezy in Atlantic Canada, and by the time Friday rolls around, that risk of thunder showers is going to push into New Brunswick as well as Quebec, but we're kind of between the two systems in southern Ontario. It's by the time we reach Saturday that we could be seeing some late day showers in the greater Toronto area, maybe some heavier bands of rain as you make your way north to Muskoka. Our weather watch continues after this. Well, I know you're waiting for it. Your local forecast is less than 1 minute from right now, but be sure to stay with us because after that, we're going to take a look at some of the stories making headlines in Weather Network News. Quick look at what you can expect across the country today. Nice day for you on the coast of British Columbia. It is cold to start the day in Alberta, but you'll get some westerly winds and conditions will be improving. This low is going to be rapidly intensifying as it makes its way across Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. And then we still have this low pressure system bringing rain to Atlantic Canada, and once again a risk for some potentially isolated severe thunderstorms in through Quebec and parts of New Brunswick. Now stay with us because coming up, good morning. It was a stormy, showery start to the work week in southern Ontario. Thunderstorms popped up across the region Monday. Showers were heavy at times. The region will see a return to sunny skies today. Well, it was another stormy night for some people in the prairies. Severe thunderstorms fired up for the second night in a row. There were no reports of any tornado touchdowns. Storms lashed northern Alberta Sunday night. In Barrhead, the hail was so thick it looked like snow. Holy cow is right. The risk for severe weather shifts into eastern Manitoba and northern Ontario today. I'll have more details on that coming up. Well, firefighters in northern Ontario have been making progress thanks to cooler temperatures and cloudy skies. The cooler weather meant forest fires were less active over the weekend. Debbie McLean is with the Ministry of Natural Resources. She says the cooler weather has one drawback. Ontario's fire season officially ends October 31st. It could take until at least then for some larger fires to be extinguished. Fires have affected more than 600,000 hectares of land, making this the province's second most active fire season of the past 50 years. Well, Vancouver has had its fair share of cool, showery weather this summer, but lately things have been looking up. People are taking full advantage of the dry weather. In international news, some people in New Zealand enjoyed a rare snow day Monday. Well, winter will be here before you know it. Those are the stories making headlines in Weather Network News. Our Weather Watch continues after this. We have your traveler's forecast coming up in just a couple of moments, and if you're traveling to New Zealand, you may want to pack that snowsuit. I know this doesn't happen very often, but disrupted some local services and closed some public buildings, but people were taking it in stride. Meanwhile, if you are headed to Russia, well, anyone who had travel plans to Bermuda yesterday got some good news. After all, Tropical Storm Gert missed the main part of the island. It still brought some heavy amounts of rain and some gusty winds to some places, but for the most part, the island was spared. There's what's left of the storm. It's still a tropical storm, and it is headed out to sea, no longer expected to affect any sort of land. What's interesting about Gert is this is the first time in an Atlantic hurricane season that we've made it to the letter G without a hurricane. So there you have it, an active season, but just not very strong storms just yet anyway. Let's talk a little bit about the weather in Atlantic Canada. You're waking up to rain if you're in Halifax, Charlottetown, Moncton, St. John, Fredericton. Good morning to you. The rain is just getting started if you are in Newfoundland, and we're anticipating some significant rainfall amounts in some cases. We'll outline those details coming up. There is an isolated risk of a thunderstorm today with this low pressure system, mainly though for parts of New Brunswick and even parts of Quebec. So Montreal, Quebec City, and the Gaspé Peninsula, you could see some active weather once again today. Here's a quick look at your temperatures into the low 20s in most places. Slightly cooler today in St. John's, Newfoundland, 18 degrees, but you reached that 23-degree high yesterday. So hope you had an opportunity to enjoy it. Here's a look at just how much rain we're expecting. Heaviest amounts look to be falling around Halifax and Charlottetown, 20 to 30 millimeters, give or take, by the time all is said and done. If you're going to be in southern Ontario today, well, this afternoon, it's going to be a little humid, feeling into the low 30s, and temperatures just slightly above seasonal for this time of year. Lots of sunshine in store as well. And if you're going to be spending some time in northern Ontario, you too can expect some humidity around Thunder Bay and Fort Frances, but there's also a risk of thunderstorms today. Good morning. Well, there has been no shortage of active weather in the prairies this summer, and last night was no exception. Tonight may not be an exception either, but wanted to take an opportunity to share with you some of the video we received to our website, theweathernetwork.com, and yeah, this was the scene in Saskatoon. Bit of a stormy situation. We had lightning, we had thunder, heavy rain, golf ball-sized hail, and even some localized flooding. Meanwhile, in the eastern part of the country, Montreal, not a bad day at all. In fact, it was a little overcast. Temperatures were a little cool for this time of year. You reached a daytime high of 23. It's going to be a little warmer today, but there is a slight risk of thunderstorms in the city, and this extends in through Quebec City and into parts of New Brunswick, as well as the Gaspé Peninsula. So we will outline your full weather forecast for the day today right after this look at your locals. Be sure to stay with us. Happy Tuesday. It is August the 16th. I'm Lyndsay Morrison, and this is your national forecast. If you're up early this morning in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, I don't blame you. We have some pretty powerful thunderstorms making their way across the region, and they have prompted some severe thunderstorm watches and warnings. So I just want to outline the details here. Right along the border of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, we're seeing some active weather. Environment Canada says these storms have the potential to produce quarter-sized hail, so keep that in mind. We also have a storm just rumbling across Gilbert Plains. That's about 30 kilometers west of Dauphin, Manitoba, so be on alert if you're in that area as well. Our other big area of active weather is in through Atlantic Canada. This is with this low-pressure system that's just been charging across the area. So you're waking up to rain this morning if you are in Charlottetown, Moncton, and now the rain is making its way into St. John's, Newfoundland. It won't necessarily be an all-day rain for everyone. In fact, we are going to be seeing some clearing in through the afternoon hours in Nova Scotia, but the center of the low is still going to bring some pretty significant rainfall. So again, clearing conditions. This is a pretty fast-moving system overall, and you can see it makes its way out of Newfoundland as well by the time we move into Wednesday. Expect those some very gusty conditions behind that low, and then high pressure will make its way into the Maritimes. So sunshine makes a bit of a comeback. However, you are going to want to bring your umbrella with you if you are heading out the door today, because we are expecting anywhere from 20 to 30 millimeters of rain in some places by the time all is said and done. This includes you in the city of Halifax. So a bit of a soggy start to the day in Atlantic Canada. As always, we appreciate your weather updates. You can report active weather to our storm line, to Facebook, or to Twitter. Let's take you now to southern Ontario. This is east of the city of Toronto. Made for a rather unique scene while driving on the highway in that area. Today we're anticipating a relatively warm day. Currently temperatures are right around where they should be in the upper teens, a little cooler as you head toward London, Ontario, and 14 degrees currently in Pembroke. This afternoon we're expecting the city of Toronto to hit a daytime high of 28 degrees. It's going to feel a little closer to 31 once you factor in the humidity. And it's also going to be another humid day today in parts of northwestern Ontario, including Thunder Bay. Take a look at Fort Frances. Could be feeling like 32 with that humidity. In this area, however, there is a risk of thunderstorms, and I'll explain why. Here's a closer look at these storms that have been making their way, just as I mentioned, along the border of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Some cells just firing up, and you can see this pretty powerful one just south there of Whitewood. So we're monitoring this situation for you. Environment Canada does have a severe thunderstorm watch in place, and it's just been rounds of thunderstorms really over the last couple of days in Western Canada. Today, it looks like it's Manitoba and northwestern Ontario's turn. If you are in Kenora, you're right in the target area, could see some severe weather today. That would mean heavy downpours, maybe some hail as well. Here's your long-range forecast. So Wednesday, sunshine returns to the Maritimes. It is going to be windy, though, in Newfoundland, but overall, the wet weather is going to be clearing out. We're watching this cold front in through Ontario. Could spark some thunderstorms in through the central part of the province, maybe into the southern sections as well. This low-pressure system will continue to bring heavy amounts of rain to central Manitoba. Seasonal conditions for the most part across the west and Vancouver. What a long-range forecast for you. Mainly sunny, mix of sun and clouds here and there, and fair temperatures as well. Cooler by the time we reach Thursday in through the Prairie provinces. A little unsettled potentially in Ontario and Quebec. We're expecting maybe the odd thunder shower or two. Breezy conditions continue in Atlantic Canada. By the time we reach Friday, there is the potential for thunderstorms in Quebec as well as parts of New Brunswick. And then there's the all-important Saturday forecast in Ontario, looking at the risk of some late-day showers in the Greater Toronto area. You could see rain in Muskoka earlier in the day. Our weather watch. Well, it may not feel like it everywhere in Canada, but we still have a few official weeks of summer still to go. But in other parts of the world, it's winter right now, and in South Africa, that's meant snow has been falling. In fact, last year, this same region had equally cold temperatures and even heavier snowfall. So in some cases, they're used to that kind of weather. Now stay with us, because coming up, we have your forecast details for this. Flashes of lightning, heavy downpours, and large-sized hail. People in Saskatoon saw it all yesterday, and many of you grabbed your cameras. Even a report that a house was hit by lightning. Thank you to a caller to our storm line who reported that active weather. We still have some thunderstorms rumbling across parts of the prairies, including just along the border of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Some cells south of Whitewood and east of Estevan, and then we've had a pretty impressive cell make its way through Dauphin, Manitoba. Severe thunderstorm watches are still in place. These are issued by Environment Canada. Today, another round of active weather is anticipated. This time, that low pressure system is going to charge east. It could rapidly intensify, and as a result, we could get some thunderstorms in through Manitoba this afternoon and potentially some severe storms around Kenora and Fort Frances in northwestern Ontario. Thunder Bay, you could be into some late day activity as well. Now, that low pressure system isn't going anywhere fast. In fact, it's going to continue spinning through the central sections of Manitoba, and as a result, some pretty heavy rainfall is expected, especially around Grand Rapids and Norway House. 30 to 60 millimeters of rain or more is possible. And here's how the situation is going to play out in Ontario. Here comes that low pressure system through the evening hours today, but take a look at southern Ontario. High pressure dominating, lots of sunshine in store, and temperatures just slightly above seasonal. Stay with us. Our weather watch will continue after these messages. Did you enjoy that 23-degree high yesterday with a mix of sun and clouds? Hopefully you did in St. John's. It was a long time coming. Today, slightly cooler, 18 with some showers in the forecast. If you're traveling to Halifax, keep your umbrella handy as well. 21 degrees the forecast for you. And then in Moncton, New Brunswick, we're calling for 19 degrees. It's going to be unsettled throughout the day today. Good morning. It's Tuesday, August the 16th. I'm Lyndsay Morrison. Kim McDonald and Kevin Yard are both away this week, but we'll be joined by Kasia Badurka momentarily from outside our Oakville studios. Hey, fun fact for you. On this day in 1969, the Canada Summer Games opened for the first time in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Today in Halifax and in through other parts of Nova Scotia, you're waking up to rain. Seeing some pretty heavy bands of rain at this point, courtesy of this low pressure system. It is a fast moving system, so it will make its way out of the region throughout the day today. In fact, you could see some clearing. I'll explain why in just a moment. We're also dealing with some active weather in the prairies. An update on this situation coming up. Big thank you to everybody who's been calling our storm line and reporting active weather on both Facebook and on Twitter. So let's talk first about this active weather in the Maritimes. You're now starting to get some showers in through Newfoundland. That will be your story through the day today, but the heaviest amounts of rain are going to be falling in the Maritimes, around Charlottetown as well as Moncton. Parts of Nova Scotia are going to be clearing through the day. You'll see that the center of the low is situated right over your province, but throughout the afternoon, may not necessarily see a lot of sunshine, but at least conditions will be drier as the day goes on. Showers continuing for some through the evening and overnight hours, but then by Wednesday, here comes that high pressure. So it's going to be a nice day throughout the day tomorrow. Sunshine making a bit of a comeback. Still going to be windy, though, in Newfoundland, so keep that in mind. And then when it comes to your rainfall amounts, this isn't a washout by any means for those of you in St. John's, Newfoundland. By the way, I hope you enjoyed your 23-degree high yesterday. That was a long time coming. In through the Maritimes, though, this looks like anywhere from 20 to 30 millimeters of rain could fall. Halifax, you're in that target zone, as is Charlottetown. And parts of New Brunswick, you'll continue to see some scattered showers throughout the day as well. Now, this low pressure system yesterday was extending all the way back into Ontario. We had some thunderstorms around the city of Toronto. Not everyone saw active weather, though. You know, it's a tough job, but somebody has to fill in for Kevin Yard, and Kasia Badurka is doing just that. Kasia, what's it like outside today?
Well, it's actually very nice and clear.
Well, I'll give you the answer right now. Thank you very much, Kasia. This afternoon, we are looking at a forecast high of 28 degrees in the city of Toronto. It's going to be humid as well, and take a look at the north. Feeling the humidity in places like Thunder Bay and Fort Frances, but there is also a risk of thunderstorms in that region today. So if you're not enjoying the rain in the Maritimes today, some good news as we make our way into Wednesday. High pressure moving in, sunshine making a comeback. Still going to be windy for you in Newfoundland, though. Take a look at this cold front. This could trigger some thunderstorms in Ontario throughout the day on Wednesday. And this low pressure system still bringing heavy amounts of rain to Manitoba. Anywhere from 30 to 60 millimeters or more is possible in some communities. Seasonal temperatures across the prairies and Vancouver, not a bad long-range forecast at all. Similar situation for the interior of British Columbia. Fair temperatures, mix of sun and clouds for the most part. A little cooler across the prairies as we look ahead to Thursday. Risk of some unsettled conditions in southern Ontario and Quebec by Thursday. Breezy conditions continuing in Atlantic Canada. And then there's a risk of thunderstorms in both New Brunswick and Quebec throughout the day on Friday. We're watching this system in Ontario because by Saturday it could be bringing some wet weather to the Greater Toronto area and north to the Muskoka region and the Nickel Belt. Our weather watch will continue. Stay tuned. Well, the island was prepared for it, but in the end, Tropical Storm Gert didn't exactly deliver a punch to Bermuda. It brought some heavy rain and some gusty winds, but for the most part, the storm system stayed away from the island and is now headed out to sea. Now, forecasters are anticipating that this will likely be downgraded from a tropical storm to a post-tropical storm within the next few hours. Interesting fact about Gert, this is the first time in the Atlantic hurricane season that we've made it to the letter G without there being at least one hurricane. So certainly an active season, just not overall very powerful storms. Today across the U.S., it's going to be another hot one in the state of Texas. Now stay with us. It's also going to be pretty hot today in southern Ontario, but it was a thunderstorm that threw a few punches at the city of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We had reports of localized flooding, of golf ball-sized hail, and even a report of lightning hitting a house. And this video from Saskatoon really helps paint the picture quite well. A big thank you to all of our viewers who uploaded photos and videos last night to our website, theweathernetwork.com. We also appreciated your calls on our storm line, as well as on Facebook and on Twitter. Now, it was a bit of a dreary, overcast day in the city of Toronto. There were even some thunderstorms in some parts of southern Ontario. Today, the sunshine's making a comeback in a big way, and temperatures are slightly on the rise. We're going to outline not only your forecast for southern Ontario and outline the humidity that's going to be feeling into the 30s, but we'll go across the country momentarily. Stay with us after this.